I got so many people. Alone, we can do very little. This is Sister Helen Keller. Together, we can do so much. That is what the Not Me, Us mantra is all about. When everyday people are willing to put a little extra on their ordinary so that extraordinary things can happen. Over the course of history in this country, when everyday people took it to the streets and determined that they were going to change things, that is how that change happened. Not from the grassroots, baby, but from the grass. Or not from the grass tops, but from the grassroots. We are the grassroots. So New Hampshire, can you do something for a sister? Can you raise one hand for yourself and one hand for somebody else? And with these hands, we will have Medicare for all. With these hands, we will have college for all. With these hands, we will cancel student debt. With these hands, we will have a Green New Deal. With these hands, we will have transcendence. And with these hands, we will elect Senator Bernie Sanders, the 46th president of the United States of America.
Nervous. Is this old opera house going to stay standing after this event? Got a lot of people here. Wow, this is an incredible turnout. And to those folks, I think we had 150 or so folks who could not get in. We thank them very much, standing out in the cold. It's just a great turnout. So Rochester, thank you very, very much. Before I go further, let me introduce you to somebody who is going to be a great first lady, my wife. Let me thank Rennie Cushing, who's doing a great job in the legislature. Rennie, thank you and for your support. Let me thank Sarah Wilson, who's the founder of the Facebook group, Deaf People for Bernie Sanders. Sarah, thank you. Let me thank Michael Moore. Michael Moore has played an extraordinarily important role in modern America because he has had the courage as a filmmaker to raise issues, talk about things that the corporate media often does not talk about. So, Michael, thank you for your support. Let me thank Mindy Mesner for her support and for being one of the great environmentalists in New England. You've heard from Mark McCann, who is a co-chair of the House Progressive Caucus, a great congressman from the state of Wisconsin. Mark, thank you so much. And let me thank Senator Nina Turner. Now, my only criticism of Senator Turner is I always have to follow her. It's a hard thing to do, but Senator Turner has not only been running around the state of Iowa, she's not only been running around New Hampshire, she's been running all over this country. And not only as part of our campaign, what she is doing is the most important work that anybody can do, and that is involve working people in the political process. That's what Senator Turner has been doing, and we thank her so much for that. Today is going to be we were kind of spent more time in Washington than I had anticipated with the impeachment trial. So today is going to be a very busy day here in New Hampshire. We started in Concord, we went to Dover, we're here. We're going back to Concord, we're going to Merrimack, we're going back to Manchester. So we got a busy day. So I'm going to be a little bit shorter than I usually am, and only 2 hours. It's a joke. And let me say that our campaign is off to a great start. After finally the votes were counted in Iowa, took them a little while, we won the vote by 6,000 votes. In the caucus there, they have a realignment. People can go to a second choice if your candidate doesn't make 50%. We won that vote by 2,500 votes. And I don't know about other people, but here in northern New England, when you win the vote, you usually win the election. So I want to say a word to the people of New Hampshire. Not only, and thanking them not only for the support that we got 4 years ago, but for doing something extraordinarily important above and beyond the primary. And that is when we began the campaign in 2016, and we came to New Hampshire, we brought forth an agenda that spoke to the needs of working people. And the corporate media and the establishment said, well, you know, Bernie is a nice guy, but his agenda is crazy. Nobody believes in that agenda. I mean, who in their right mind thinks that we should raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour? That's too radical an idea. Imagine making public colleges and universities tuition free so that all people, regardless of their income, can get a higher education. How radical and crazy can you be? And healthcare is a human right, doing what every other major country on earth does. Who does Bernie Sanders think he is? Nobody would believe that. And talking about climate change as a national crisis, my God, you know, who believes that? And what New Hampshire did, which was enormously important as the first primary state in the country, what New Hampshire said, these ideas are not radical, these ideas are not extreme. Having a government that works for all of us, not just the wealthy, is exactly what we have to do. And after we won here in New Hampshire, what ended up happening is we won 21 more states. But New Hampshire broke through and said to the establishment that, you know what, standing up for working families is not a radical idea. It's exactly what we should be doing as a nation. So New Hampshire, thank you so much for the enormously important role you play. What our campaign is about, and what I am enormously proud of, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, is that in this campaign up to now, we have received more campaign contributions, I think we're over 6 million, from more Americans, over 1.5 million, than any, averaging, I should tell you, $18.50 a piece. That is more contributions from more people than any candidate in the history of the United States of America. Now, why is that important? It is important because it contrasts with the way other candidates do business. Other candidates, and there are several who have raised huge amounts of money from billionaires. Well, we don't raise large amounts of money. In fact, we don't raise any amounts of money from billionaires. We don't have a super PAC. We don't want a super PAC. We don't want billionaires' money. We are running a campaign for working people, funded by working people, and that is why we are going to win here in New Hampshire and all over the country. And the other reason reason I believe we're going to win, not only here in New Hampshire but across this country, is we are running a different type of campaign, not only in terms of how we fund it, but in terms of the grassroots movement that we are putting together. And I want you all to know that here in New Hampshire, we have knocked on hundreds of thousands of doors. And I want to thank all of the, I imagine, thousands of volunteers from one end of the state to the other for getting out in the cold and the snow, knocking on doors, for making the phone calls that have to be made, for doing social media. Volunteers, staff, thank you so much for running a great campaign. What this campaign is about is not only raising money in a different way than anyone has ever done it, it's not only having an unprecedented grassroots movement. We are doing those things because we have an agenda that speaks to the needs of working families in New Hampshire, in Vermont, and all across this country. A working class that has for so many years been ignored by the political establishment. And what our agenda is about is not complicated. We understand that when Trump talks about this great booming economy, what he is talking about primarily is that his billionaire friends are doing well. And that is right. Trump, every now and then, is right. His billionaire friends are doing very well. In fact, in the last 3 years since he has been president, billionaires have seen an $800 billion increase in their wealth. 37% increase in the wealth for billionaires. Last year, though, in the midst of this so-called booming economy, the average worker saw a 17-cent increase in his or her wages, less than 1% in real inflation accounted for wages. 37% increase in the wealth of billionaires, 1% increase in wages for working Americans. Hey, Mr. Trump, that ain't a great economy for the working families of this country. So when we talk about an economy that works for working people, what are we talking about? It's not complicated. Everybody knows what has to be done. We're going to raise that federal minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. And here is another really radical idea. You ready for a real radical one?
Yeah.
Hold on, folks. Maybe women should be paid equally to men for the work they do. Whoa, what a radical idea! In the year 2020, I know, hey, sometimes you gotta go out on the limb. But in the year 2020, as Senator Turner often says, women deserve the whole damn dollar, all right? Not 79 cents of it. And here's another radical idea. There are millions of workers out there who want to form unions. They want to join unions.
Yes.
They want to get involved in collective bargaining so they got decent wages, decent working conditions. We have legislation that will double the number of union workers over a 4-year period. And at a time when the infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our water systems, wastewater plants, our schools are crumbling all across this country, we have a proposal that will put millions of workers to work in good-paying union jobs, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. What our campaign is about is thinking outside of the box. It's thinking beyond the discussions that take place in Congress or what you see in the corporate media. And I ask you to take a step back and to say, what is going on here in the richest country in the history of the world? Everybody knows, this is kind of a common knowledge, that the future of our country depends upon how well our children are doing. Question, why in the richest country on earth do we give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% in large corporations, and yet we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. Together, we are going to change priorities in America and pay attention to the needs of our people, not to the world. And when you talk about the children, you're talking about education. And that means we need to fundamentally reform a broken and dysfunctional child care system so that every working family in this country knows that when they go to work, their kids are in high quality, affordable, and in fact, universal child care in this country. That is not a radical idea. That's not a radical idea. And when we talk about education, it means that we're going to triple funding for low-income Title I schools so that all kids get a quality education, not an education dependent upon your zip code. And when we talk about public education, which is what we support, it means supporting educators. Teachers. We live in a country where Major League pitchers can sign contracts for hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet, a couple of months ago, I met with educators here in New Hampshire, and they were telling me there are school districts in this state where the starting salary of teachers is less than $28,000 a year. We are going to change that, because we are going to change national priorities. We understand that education is one of the most important things a civilized society can do. What we want to do is attract the best and brightest young people to become teachers, to say with pride that they are so excited about having an impact on the lives of thousands of people, young people, during their career. And that is why we're going to move forward so that no teacher in America makes less than $60,000 a year. And it also means, when you talk about education, I want kids in the 6th grade here in New Hampshire and in Vermont to understand that if they study hard and do their schoolwork, they will be able to get a higher education, go to college, go to a trade school, regardless of the income of their families. All right, I grew up in a working class family. My family never had any money. But I want everybody in this state and in this country to know that if you take school seriously, you will be able to get a higher education because A, we're going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And by the way, 4 years ago that was a radical idea. It's so radical now. States and cities and counties all over the country are moving in exactly that direction. We've already had an impact. We got to do it in 50 states in America. And second of all, we are going to cancel all student debt in America. And we're going to do that through a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. You all remember, and this is what changing governments is about. This is what it means to have a government that represents working people, not billionaires. 11 years ago, against my vote, Congress bailed out the crooks on Wall Street, whose illegal behavior nearly destroyed the economy. Well, today we're going to bail out young people in this country and ask Wall Street to pay for it. And I'll tell you what else an agenda, progressive agenda, means in this country. It means that we will end the international embarrassment of being the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. Now, borders on Canada, New Hampshire borders on Canada. And we have to ask ourselves why it is that our neighbors to the north, if you are seriously ill and you end up in the hospital there for a month, how does it happen that you get quality care there and you leave the hospital without paying a nickel because their system is publicly funded? How does it happen that we spend twice as much per capita as our Canadian friends and as friends throughout Europe, and yet despite spending $11,000 for every man, woman, and child, outrageous sum of money, we end up with 87 million Americans who are either uninsured or underinsured? We have 30,000 people a year dying because they don't get to a doctor when they should because they're uninsured. We have 500,000 people going bankrupt every year because of medically related debt. In America, you should not go bankrupt because you're dealing with cancer or heart disease. That is an outrage. So our message to the healthcare industry, which made $100 billion in profit last year. Our message is that the function of a healthcare system in a humane and civilized society is to provide healthcare to all as a right, not to make billions in profits for the insurance companies and the drug companies. Special word to the pharmaceutical industry. In my office, we have a debate. We say, which institution in America is the most corrupt and the most greedy? Some of us, there's a big debate going on. Some say, hey, Wall Street, they're totally crooked. All right, and some say the pharmaceutical industry. It's a hard choice. I kind of lean toward the drug companies being the most corrupt and greedy in the United States. So we got a message to the drug companies. We will not allow you to continue charging American people, in some cases, 10 times more for the same exact drug sold in Canada or in Europe. That's going to end. And it's not only the greed of the drug companies, let's be clear. We're going to have an attorney general who is going to investigate them, and I tell you what the conclusion will be, because we know this already. They're corrupt. All right, so it's not greed, we know. Greed is people do anything to make money, but you can do that legally. But these guys are not only greedy, they are bloody corrupt. That means they engage in collusion, they engage in price fixing to artificially raise prices. And I will tell you this, because I know, Vermont has suffered from the opioid epidemic. States all over the country. New Hampshire has been particularly hard hit, and I suspect that in this room there are folks who know people whose lives have been lost as a result of the opioid epidemic. And I want you all to hear this, because this is what greed and corruption is about. The pharmaceutical industry, the opioid manufacturers, produced a product that they learned soon enough was addictive and was killing people. But it was also making them a lot of money. And you know what they did? After they learned that this product was addictive and killing people, their response was to hire more salespeople and to push their product, just like heroin pushes do. Same thing. Just like heroin pushes. So we are not only going to be lowering drug prices in this country significantly, and under Medicare for All, nobody will have to pay more than $200 a year for prescription drugs. But we are going to investigate, and we are going to deal with the criminal activities of the pharmaceutical industry. You cannot go around pushing a product that is addictive and killing people and get away with it. And we will not allow them to do that. Now, there's another issue out there which is such a big issue. I mean, one of the things that we're trying to do in this campaign is to be honest with the American people and to say that there are very significant challenges out there. We can deal with those challenges if we stand together and have the courage to take on powerful special interests. But these are huge challenges. And if we're going to be honest with each other and with our kids, we have got to confront the challenges, not push them under the rug. And one of those challenges is obviously the existential threat to our country and the planet of climate change. Now, Donald Trump every day is doing horrific things in our country. But one of the worst things that he is doing, not only to the people of America, but to the people of the world, is denying the reality of climate change. And I will tell you something which should make all of us nervous. We can deal with it, but it makes us nervous. Is what the scientists are telling us is not just that climate change is real or it's caused by human activity. We all know that. What they are telling us now is they have underestimated the degree, severity, and speed in which climate change is ravaging our country and the world. They have underestimated the speed and the degree to which the polar ice caps are melting and the oceans are warming, which means significantly higher sea levels, which will inundate coastal regions in the United States and all over the world. Major American cities will be partially or maybe even completely underwater. I'm talking about Miami, New Orleans, Charleston, New York City, and other cities. I'm talking about Bangladesh, Vietnam, low-sea countries, which could be partially underwater. So I am very proud to tell you that we have not run away from this challenge. It's tough. It is a tough issue, and no one has a magical, quick solution, but it is an issue that has to be dealt with. And what we have proposed is a sweeping proposal on climate change, which is, in fact, the most comprehensive proposal ever brought forth by any candidate for federal office. It is based on the principles of the Green New Deal. And what that proposal basically says, in brief, is that yes, we are going to take on the greed of the fossil fuel industry. We are going to tell them that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. That whether they like it or not, we are going to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. But what makes this issue even more complicated is that if we did all of the right things in our country tomorrow, we will not have solved the problem because climate change is a global issue. So as President of the United States, unlike Trump, I will not ignore the crisis. I will not exacerbate the crisis. But what I will do is lead the effort to reach out to countries all over the world, to the people of those countries, the people in China, and Russia, and India, and Pakistan, and Brazil, and in Africa, all over the country, all over the world, and say that maybe, just maybe, that instead of spending $1.8 trillion a year collectively as a planet on weapons of destruction designed to kill each other, maybe we should pool our resources, fight our common enemy, which is climate change. Trump wants to separate the United States from the rest of the world, but on issues of climate change, we know that if there was ever a time in world history that this countries all over the world had to come together for a common self-interest, this is that time, and that is what we've got to do. And when we talk about agendas that speak to the needs of Americans, we have got to end, again, the international embarrassment of having more people in jail than any other country. Now I want you to think about it. China is 4 times our size in population. China is a communist authoritarian country that does not tolerate dissent very well. We got more people in jail today than China does. And that is because we have a broken, and let's admit it, a racist criminal justice system. We have a major proposal to reform that system. Let me just highlight a few of the aspects of that proposal. Number one, in terms of prevention, we are going to invest in our young people. We're not going to sit back and watch kids drop out of school, not have an education, not have any job training. We are going to invest in our young people in jobs and education so they can go out and make a good living in society. We're going to invest in those things rather than in more jails and incarceration. We are going to end private prisons and detention centers. Because we believe that corporations should not be making money locking up fellow Americans. We're going to end the absurd situation. I want everybody to know this because I think many people don't know it. I didn't know it a few years ago. Right now, we have over 2 million people in jail. We got 20% of those people, so 400,000 people in jail today, right now, who have not been convicted of anything. Do you all know that? Now, how do you stay in jail when you're not convicted of anything? And that is because those people who have been arrested, been charged with a crime, cannot afford the $500 they need for bail. So they're rotting in jail, often forced to agree to a plea bargain, which may work against them. We are going to end the cash bail system in America. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We're going to end the so-called war on drugs. That means we're going to legalize marijuana in every state in this country. And we are going to expunge the records of those who have been arrested for marijuana. All of us get sick to our stomachs and horrified when we turn on the TV and we see another mass shooting. And we ask ourselves, what is happening? How can somebody walk into a mall or a school? I mean, I don't even want to describe it because you'll know it, and it is too disgusting people to be thinking about it. How does it happen? Well, this is my promise to you. We are going to write gun safety legislation, which is what the American people want, not what the NRA wants. And right now, that's what's going on. I'm not going to tell you that everybody in America agrees on all aspects of gun safety legislation. That's not accurate. But what I can tell you is that over the years, as people have witnessed these horrible shootings, there is a coming together between rural states like Vermont, New Hampshire, and urban areas like Chicago and LA. There is a coming together between gun owners, of which there are many in New Hampshire and Vermont, and non-gun owners. And what that broad consensus is about is, number one, we need universal background checks. People of violent histories should not own weapons, guns. We're going to end the so-called gun show loophole and the straw man provision. And in the last few years, there is a growing majority of Americans who now understand something that I believed for like 30 years. And that is, we should not in this country allow for the selling and distribution of assault weapons designed to kill people. Now, as a United States Senator, I hear a lot of speeches on the floor of the Senate. Not the most pleasant thing in the world. And often I hear from my Republican colleagues who give us their conservative mantra that they believe in small government, they believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people. And what I say to those conservatives, stop your hypocrisy. If you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who must control their own bodies, not politicians in the government. So my promise to you on that issue is, number one, I will never nominate anybody to the Supreme Court or federal courts who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade. Number two, we will fight for legislation that codifies, puts into law Roe v. Wade. Number three, we will significantly expand funding for Planned Parenthood. Now, this campaign is about two fundamental things. Number one, it goes without saying that we must defeat Donald Trump, the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. It gives me no pleasure to tell you what you already know, that we have a president who is a pathological liar. And by that I mean, in sympathy to Trump, I don't know that he knows the difference between a lie and the truth. The media has documented thousands and thousands of lies that he has told since he's in office. Every day he is lying. Okay? Furthermore, he is running an extremely corrupt administration. He is a racist, and it gives me no pleasure to say this. I have, conservative friends in Congress. We disagree. But, they are not racist as Trump is. They're not sexist. They're not homophobes. They're not xenophobes. They are not religious bigots. Throughout the history of this country, from, way back when, and all of the terrible things that were done to the Native American people, the abomination of slavery and all kinds of discrimination, what the struggle of this country was about is to become a more democratic and just society. That we try to end the discrimination that has existed not only against African Americans, the Latinos, but the Irish, the Catholics, the Italians, Jews, whatever it may be. We try to move in the direction that Dr. King wanted us to do. Look at people as human beings. Judge them on who they are, not the color of their skin or superficial differences. That's the direction that we have tried to move in with great struggle as Americans. That's been the history of America. And now we have a president who is trying to take us back, trying to divide us up by the color of our skin, or by where we were born, or by our sexual orientation, or by our religion, or by our agenda. We are not going to allow Trump to get away with that. We're going to bring our people together. We are going to bring our people together, black and white, Latino, Native American, Asian American, around an agenda that works for all of us. So defeating Trump is obviously enormously important, but it is not the only thing that we have got to do. All right? What we have got to do is transform our economy and our government so that it represents all of us, not just the wealthy and billionaire campaign contributors. And the message of our campaign is, as you know, it's us, not me. And that is, while it's a very nice bumper sticker, really is, it is actually a profound moral and political statement. That's what it is. Us, not me. What does it mean? It means essentially that we look at human life very differently than Trump and his friends do. What they say is, hey, the function of life is to make as much money as I can, and I will lie and cheat and step on people in order to do that. And when I become a billionaire man, I am great, I am successful. Our view is very different. Our view is to understand that as human beings, we are better human beings when we are compassionate, when my family cares about your family, when your family cares about my family, when we understand that we are all in this together. That reaching out, that every family in America has its problems, every person has their problems. That reaching out and helping other people, working with other people, makes us much better human beings than stepping on other people. And that's what our set of principles are about. So what this campaign is also doing is not only having an agenda that works for working people, we are identifying those entities in society that are happy with the status quo. When I talk about income and wealth inequality, 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society. When I talk about folks in New Hampshire and Vermont working 2 or 3 jobs, and yet 49% of all new income goes to the top 1%, we are appalled when we hear that. But the people on top are not appalled. They think it's great. Rich are getting much richer. What can be better than that? So in order to bring about change, it's not good enough for politicians to say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We have to ask ourselves, how does it happen? Why do we have more income and wealth inequality in America today than at any time in the last 100 years? Why are we the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people? Why do 45 million Americans have student debt and college is increasingly unaffordable for working families? Why are we not leading the world in the challenge of climate change? Why do we have more people in jail than any other country, etc., etc.? And we've got to ask ourselves why. And that takes us back to who controls this country, who owns this country, the power structure of this country. This is the discussion you don't see on television. You got all those cameras there, you're not going to see this discussion on television. Okay? And that leads us, and you're not going to hear that discussion in Congress as well. You don't hear that discussion when people are bought and sold by wealthy campaign contributors, because that is an essential part of the problem. What we understand to bring about real change is that real change never takes place from the top on down, always from the bottom on up. Think about the history of America. Think about the struggles of the labor movement to stand up and fight for decent wages. Think about the civil rights movement. Think about the women's movement. Think about the gay rights movement. Think about the environmental movement. These are movements that involve tens of millions of people, not one person sitting there on top. And that is what us, not me, is also about. It is an understanding. No one else will tell you this who's running for president. That if we are going to make the changes that the American people want and deserve, yes, we're going to have to take on Wall Street. Yes, we're going to have to take on the insurance companies. Yes, we're going to have to take on the drug companies. Yeah, we're going to have to take on the fossil fuel industry. Yes, we're going to have to take on the military-industrial complex. Yes, we're going to have to take on the prison-industrial complex. Now, I wish I could give you a great speech. Don't worry about that. We'll just move forward. But you know that's not true. You know there have been honest people for 100 years talking about all the great things they wanted to do, but it never happened. It never happened because we have not yet successfully taken on the greed and corruption of the corporate elite.
Let's do it.
So that is what this campaign is about. I'm asking a lot of you. I'm asking a lot of you. Obviously, I'm asking for your votes on Tuesday, but I'm asking for more than that. I am asking you to work with me after our inauguration, to come back and to say, yes, we are going to stand together and say that in America, if you work 40 hours a week, you're not going to live in poverty. Yes, education is a human right for all of our people, regardless of where. Yes, health care is a human right. Medicare for all. Yes, we are going to lead the world in climate change and save the planet. So that is where we are right now. That is where we are right now. And on Tuesday, 2 days from today, will be an enormously important day. If we win here in New Hampshire, and with your help, I think we can win. It'll make it easier for us to win in Nevada and in South Carolina and in California. It will make it easier for us to win the Democratic nomination and then have the opportunity to soundly defeat the most dangerous president in American history. Thank you all very much.
Wonderful crowd. We want to do a group selfie. So,
The crowd is doing a group selfie right now. Group selfie. Bernie Sanders, Jane Sanders. On the stage. Can you hear me? That was Bernie Sanders in, where the heck are we? Rochester, New Hampshire. Just finished. He had Michael Moore speaking for him, Nina Turner, some local leaders here in New Hampshire. And boy, he's got a lot of events planned today from the sounds of it. So you see people moving out. I have my phone in my hand because I'm talking to Michael Moore's producer, hoping to get him on while we're live now. So don't mind me looking at my phone. It's just to try and coordinate to try and get Michael Moore on the live stream. So we see people walking out. Pretty much the same old type of speech you'll hear from Bernie Sanders. I think I heard him say bloody corrupt. I've never heard him say they're bloody corrupt, so that was a new one. We got 1,100 people watching, so press that like button so we can get more people watching. See if I can interview some folks, see what they thought of Bernie Sanders' speech. You know what was interesting to me? What started before he spoke was he was talking about love and compassion. Michael Moore was talking about love and compassion. And there's a lot of talk about that at the more Bernie events I go to, talking about kind of that humanity that he speaks about during the debates. Healthcare is a human right. Doing for somebody you don't know, those kinds of things. So you've heard a lot more those buzzwords of love and compassion in the last few events I've covered. A new poll came out this morning from CNN and the University of New Hampshire. Bernie Sanders at 28%, Mayor Pete Buttigieg at 20. Want to come on live? Come on. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, 21%. Give this man a hand. He's got crutches on, but he came over. What's your name?
David Brown.
What'd you think of the speech?
I loved it. I love every Bernie speech you go to. You always gotta love it, man.
Did you watch the debate last night?
I actually did not get to. It was my friend's birthday yesterday, but it's the only one I missed. Only one.
We know what happened in Iowa. I think it's just blatantly corrupt. However,
2016 again. 2016 all over again.
Tell me more.
Coming for us, screwing us over. They're scared, and it's a good thing. It's really good.
You think, based on what they did in Iowa, are you a little worried about what they could try to do here and other places, or?
Definitely worries me, but I mean, once it comes down to popular votes and whatnot, that'll give us be a little harder for them to mess with the numbers and whatnot, I feel.
And it's not just the DNC. I mean, the corporate media, it's gone from just bashing Bernie constantly to now unhinged hysteria. I don't know if you saw last night. I thought I literally, because I'm on like 4 hours of sleep the last 3 days. I thought it was just like a nightmare. But Chris Matthews on MSNBC started talking about how Bernie, with socialism, who knows? Maybe somebody will be assassinated in Central Park.
He gets like delusional when you see him at the bars, like at Iowa. He was saying some out of left field things.
Well, we're going to see more of that because obviously, Chris Matthews makes $5 million a year. A lot of these anchors are paid to push propaganda.
Yeah, they're comfy. So, hey, it's working for them. Why, like Bernie said, why would they do anything about it?
How important do you think it is for Bernie to win New Hampshire?
I think it's very important, especially after Iowa, just to show everyone that we actually are blowing everyone else out of the water. Not even a competition,
And what's at stake for you personally? You seem like a young guy. If Bernie were to win the nomination, become president, how would it affect your life?
Yeah, it would make me have some hope to have a Earth to live on in the future, make it so politics could actually get things done for the people instead of the donors, the big donors that are just pumping money into these campaigns.
Antarctica is 65 degrees today.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, that was another good thing.
Warmest it's ever been this time of year.
Yes, lots to look forward to though. But hey, if Bernie's elected, nerves will be calmed for sure.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
What's your name again?
David.
David. Yeah, sure. Take a selfie real quick.
Thank you.
Thanks. So that was David with the crutches. Let me text Michael Moore's person. Hopefully I don't get stood up at the dance here. Keep pressing that like button. I am live right now in the back. Hold on. Turn in the beat line. 1 second, folks. I'm not being rude. I'm trying to get Michael Moore.
Did y'all get the crowd?
Yeah. You want to come on?
No.
Oh.
Don't stop. I just wanted to see, did y'all get the crowd number?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. Sorry.
You want to take a picture?
Thanks. So 1,100 people here. This is a tiny, tiny little theater. So 1,100 people. It's pretty impressive. Want to come on? We're live. Come on in. What's your name?
My name is William.
What'd you think? Oh, back up.
Well,
What'd you think?
I think it was really amazing. I'm from the Netherlands in Europe because your president is, of course, for us very, very important. And this is really someone who tries to connect with the rest of the world and doing great things for America.
You know, it's always nice for me to talk to people from other countries because what Bernie's talking about here, they call him a nut job, but it's pretty much what the rest of the world has.
Yes, we only pay on average 130 euro, let's say dollars, per month to have a healthcare insurance. And hospital basically is for free, costs us only a few euro. So we are really surprised to hear here in the United States that then you are called a socialist. Come on, and it's still business because we can choose several insurance companies, but they have competitions, but it's only 130 euro because there are government regulations. There is some sort of a context, so it's normal what Bernie Sanders would say. He's not a socialist in Europe.
Yeah, he's more like a social democrat in Europe.
Yeah, but also the Christian Democrats in Europe that think this is common sense. This is a basic human value. So, yeah, it was really inspiring to see someone who is taking care for common people and also connecting with the world and not running away from the world.
You know, you look at these other candidates, Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar. I call them the eat your broccoli, candidates. They say, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? But, I mean, they're just taking so much money from bankers and fossil fuels and all these special interests. It's like, how do you really take what they're saying seriously? Because we spend more than any other country on healthcare. We spend more than the top 10 countries on our military. So what we're doing right now is totally inefficient and bankrupting the country, but they say Bernie's the one being irresponsible.
Yeah, that's the world the other way around. So Yeah, I think that is really not the truth. All these bank interests, etc., and from corporations. It was fitting also that there was a comparison with President Franklin Roosevelt, who was not a communist and who is now a hero for a lot of people, not only Democrats, but also I think for, well, quite a few Republicans too, helping of creating some sort of a fundament for ordinary people to have a decent life. Education. In the Netherlands we have top public universities that can compete, maybe not with Harvard, but let's say with other famous universities who are very expensive here in the United States. And our students, they also have to pay, but it's, I think, 10% for what the students here in the United States have to pay. And pure students are for free. So, and it's important for your innovation power as a country to have good education. And this is the richest country in the world. So we are surprised that is such an issue here in the United States. Decent healthcare, decent education for all of us.
How's the chocolate in the Netherlands? The chocolate in the Netherlands is very good, right?
Yes, well, we are close to Belgium and they are even a little bit better, but we are good in chocolate, cheese, and in soccer. Don't forget that. We have one of the best soccer teams in the world.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And this is for him?
Status Coup. We're live now. Take my card.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are you broadcasting in?
YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you. So, crowd clearing out right now. What are you pointing at? Okay, cool. Hold on one second. I'm just communicating with Michael Moore's press person here to try and get him on the live stream. 1 second. This might be a little rough where we just move the camera while we're live, so stick with us. Hold on. Do. And folks, remember, Status Coup right now is blowing up. We're blowing up. So I think we're at 1,143 paying members right now. We've gone up like 250 members since Iowa. So our goal by New Hampshire primary, by the time it's over, is to reach 1,500. So we need all of you. If you are not a member yet, you can fund this in the field on the campaign trail reporting. Jamal is sleeping 4 or 5 hours. I've been sleeping 3-4 hours between driving to all these things and publishing videos and tweeting and marketing and all the things we need to do and going to the bathroom. It's a lot of work. But I don't see many other independent outlets doing this in the trenches work. So your support helps. We're also turning around behind the scenes content for you. Got a lot of behind the scenes photos and videos from Iowa. We're going to crank out more here in New Hampshire. So you get that behind the scenes content as a paying member. And Michael Moore is on stage. So we are just waiting for him. I think he's doing an interview up there. I don't know. No, stay here. I think they might come back here. So just so you know, I've been trying to get in touch with Michael Moore for the last 3 years. If you don't know, I've been reporting on Flint and the ongoing water crisis. Doesn't get talked about a lot in the media. Going on 6 years, the people of Flint do not have clean water. So I've been trying to get in touch with Michael on some of our reporting, see if he is aware of it, as well as try to get him to amplify it. So it'll be great to finally talk to him. What else is going on? You know, to me, I look at the polls here. Even though Bernie is up by in the CNN New Hampshire poll this morning, he's up by 7. So that looks good. But with the total, Pete Buttigieg was given possibly $100 million of free advertising this week, essentially being declared the Iowa caucus winner the night of the caucus. The audacity. He walked out with no results. I'm the winner. And then CNN and others breathlessly regurgitated that. So the free advertising he has gotten is really lifted him. I mean, you look poll to poll, he's up significantly. So that does come into play here. Even though Bernie in the polls now, is up in almost every poll, particularly the one this morning. If I'm Bernie Sanders' campaign, I am not resting on my laurels, which they are not. They have been going very, very much guns a-blazing, knocking on doors, same thing. He obviously has home field advantage with New Hampshire being next to Vermont, won New Hampshire, I think, by 20 of a Hillary Clinton last time. I think last night's debate, my thoughts as we're waiting for Michael Moore here, and remember, press that like button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this live stream. Oh, we just got a new member, Danielle. Welcome, new member, Danielle. We love you. Statuscoup.com/join. Keep signing up. Statuscoup.com/join. We're about to speak with Michael Moore, so very, very exciting. To me, the biggest things from the debate last night was Joe Biden just looks like he's running in 1980, doesn't he? He just looks like he's just not with the times here. He's struggling to basically make a coherent argument other than I'm more electable based on nothing. He basically declared in the beginning of the debate that, well, we're not going to win New Hampshire, so we're just here for the photos. You know, like I could imagine that his campaign's heads were exploding when he said, well, you know, we're not going to win New Hampshire. I also thought Elizabeth Warren, her desperation really, really showed she has to win New Hampshire or at least come in a very, very close second place. You look at her, I mean, she was, I don't know if it was her intention, but she almost implied that Bernie Sanders is being funded by super PACs. I don't know if you noticed that. She said that Amy and I are the only ones not being funded by super PACs. I don't know if she's talking about like the Nurses United. Is she talking about the nurses? Those corrupt nurses. Is she talking about the Sunrise Movement? Those corrupt young environmentalists. Is she talking about our revolution? Like, I don't know. It was weird. Welcome, new member. Kelsey just got another member. Statuscoup.com/join. But Warren did say, you know, we're waiting on, you know, Amy and I are the only ones without a super PAC. Listen, Bernie doesn't have a super PAC. I mean, the Nurses United might have a PAC. But if that's what she's talking about, I'd gladly take money from those corrupt nurses. If that's the most corrupt money Bernie ever gets, come on. If that's the most corrupt money Bernie gets, then that's okay. If it's from National Nurses United or the Sunrise Movement or Our Revolution, which does not put out ads for Bernie. Our Revolution doesn't put out television ads. They do a lot of social media boosting for Bernie. But, you know, frankly, Elizabeth Warren was trying to get their endorsement. So she was trying to get their endorsement, but suddenly she didn't get their endorsement and she doesn't like it. So I thought it was a very bad debate for Joe Biden. I thought Warren, it was kind of not bad, but not good. I think the polls are showing her slipping. This poll this morning showed her at 9%. The other thing, of course, the corporate media declared Amy Klobuchar the winner, I think for the 5th debate in a row. They just love Amy Klobuchar. These people on CNN, they cannot get enough. I thought Amy Klobuchar did a good job. I mean, there's nothing there other than she's basically Hillary Clinton with a Midwest twang. You know, she's Hillary Clinton with Midwest way of talking. I thought, you know, to me, watching Pete Buttigieg, and a lot of you, by the way, I just want to, you know, as humbly as I could say, declare we were right. Because when we went to South Bend, Indiana in December, a lot of you were like, Jordan, don't bother with Pete. Why are you spending time and resources covering Pete? He's not going to win, blah, 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 blah. Well, the corporate media has propped him up to winning the Iowa caucus and possibly, you know, being more competitive in New Hampshire to win. So I think it was right that we went to cover him. But what's amazing to me, and again, stay tuned because Michael Moore, I believe, will be coming down to join us in a few minutes. What's amazing to me is Pete Buttigieg, if you play the drinking game, even if you're not a drinker, if you just like put some lemonade for every time he mentions turn the page, new generation, I mean, you'd be dead within 20 minutes. This guy has consultants feeding him what to say. And they must have poll tested, turn the page, and it gets a lot of good response. But if you actually welcome new member Miguel, another Status Coup member, keep signing up, statuscoup.com/join. Welcome new member Sam, we just got another one. Keep it coming, statuscoup.com/join. When, for once, a journalist, and excuse me, I don't know the journalist's name, but for once, a journalist actually challenged a politician on a debate stage. Beautiful thing to see. Credit to the ABC News reporter that actually challenged him. The reporter said, before you became South Bend mayor, you were, marijuana arrests were at a certain point, and as soon as you became South Bend mayor, it blew up. And he lied, of course, because he wasn't expected to be challenged. And then he lied again, and she kept challenging. And finally, he kind of twisted himself into a pretzel. And finally, he kind of admitted it, but like came up with an excuse. This was an amazing thing to see. But you saw more of the other candidates actually challenging Pete Buttigieg. I don't think they challenged him hard enough. I would like some of them to speak on the fact that all he did in South Bend was just gentrify 5 blocks and leave the rest to rot. I'd like to see more, it's not even attacks, just facts about his total disregard for the black community. I mean, complete disregard for the black community in South Bend. I went there. I spoke with dozens of residents, activists, Black Lives Matter. This man has no business running for president. Certainly, I mean, honestly, I don't even know if he's qualified to be governor. Whether it's a lack of concern, a lack of natural empathy, he just doesn't, he did not take into account the black community in South Bend, and in many cases was involved in cover-ups. TheRoot.com, go check out this piece. TheRoot.com, Michael Harriot, I think is his name, did an amazing, amazing piece on Pete Buttigieg and the cover-ups that went on there, particularly the police tapes that have been hidden where comments were made, controversial comments were made about the South Bend, controversial comments were made about the police chief, an African-American police chief, that has been basically hidden. $3 million was spent by the Buttigieg administration to keep those tapes from coming out. Buttigieg all along has said he doesn't know what's on the tapes. Well, Michael Harriot's reporting showed he was informed what was on the tapes. So this man has lied more than your typical politician. I tweeted, Pete Buttigieg kind of reminds me of he was hatched in a lab. A co-lab between the Center for American Progress and the Heritage Foundation. They have a lab, and they just mashed him up together. So here we are waiting for Michael Moore. I think he's coming over now. We got 1,700 people watching right now, so make sure you press that share button. Make sure you press the like button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see the live stream. As usual, to pan around, we are usually the last ones standing at most of these events. So it's really a beautiful thing to say. Here's Michael coming over, so we'll speak with him. This is very, very nice. Hold on one second. Welcome new member Bruce. I see you. Hold on. Michael's walking over, so wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, hey, Michael. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no,
Michael Moore. So you brought down the house as usual. What'd you think of the debate last night? Because
it's a beautiful place.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the debate last night? Because it seemed to me that there was a lot of poll-tested, consultant-tested phrasing, Pete with the turn the page, and a lot of that language about unity, this and that, but Bernie seemed to be the one talking about the urgency of now.
Step up here. We're going to get on flat ground. This is a really old place. They built this before there were building codes. I got to tell you, I actually like the debate, and I like the fact that every one of the candidates said something that I applauded. I noticed we were at the Bernie debate watch party, and I was like the only one applauding some of the other candidates, but I think we should applaud them when they speak out against endless war, when Biden goes over and hugs Bernie, things like that. I thought it was good. And Klobuchar, man, there's always a moment when a candidate is, I don't want to say it's over. It's not over, but boy, she put the slow knife with a smile on her face right in Pete Buttigieg, and he looked every bit as not ready for prime time as he actually is. And she didn't. It wasn't her words. She quoted his words. While they were there taking their job seriously, her and Elizabeth and Bernie in the Senate with the Trump trial, he was in Iowa mocking them and saying that he'd rather be watching cartoons. this was one of the most important constitutional moments in our history. There literally is a criminal in the White House who at least Nixon tried to cover up his crimes. You know, this guy is proud of them and has signaled that he's going to commit more of them. So I wonder where the line is for most people. And for Buttigieg to just kind of fluff it off like it was, I'd rather be watching cartoons. Man, I don't know. That was a real disqualifying moment for him.
I want to ask you because Bernie, Bernie's version of the knife was your 40 billionaires, and Pete kind of pivoted. Well, we need everything we can to go against Trump, but I mean,
I'll do my impression of Pete when he was asked about his 40 billionaires. They're people too. They're Americans too. You know, this sort of, no, Bernie was great with that, as was Elizabeth. I mean, they really, I think that they had been somewhat timid to go after him before this moment. And I understand that, liberals were really, part of what's kind of good about liberals is we have a heart and we're happy when things happen. But it's not enough just to be happy that, you're African American and you're on the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas, or you're a woman and you're invading countries, Margaret Thatcher. It's kind of like you can take the identity thing to a certain point, which you should, because you and I, as white guys, have a responsibility to fix the damage that was done to this country and to this planet by the white guys that came before us, and it has fallen upon us to turn this thing around. But not to the point where we put the wrong people in there who have basically said, we're not going to do anything to turn it around. We're just going to give you more of the same old, same old. Well, okay, I was happy to see that Pete Buttigieg was in this race. Then I learned that his husband grew up down the street from where I live in Michigan. Hey, that's pretty cool. South Bend, we all know South Bend in Michigan. The city limits essentially is on the Michigan state border. So we all know South Bend.
Let's talk about Michigan.
Yeah.
You were one of the ones who predicted that Donald Trump was going to win. You were alone on an island back then with Roger and me. A lot of people have joined you, finally seeing what's been going on to places like Flint, Detroit, South Bend, the gentrification, the pushing of poor people further and further out. But we hear from MSNBC, the usual suspects. You could only beat Trump with a moderate. But Bernie just brought out more young people in Iowa than Obama did in 2008. He just brought out more Latinos and Muslims.
You guys are the only ones saying that.
Why independent media is important, isn't it?
And should be supported. Seriously, I can't tell you how many times I hear from people that are, my social media followers. They're so grateful for the Young Turks for putting it out there in a way that nobody will put it out there, covering the things that don't get covered, like the thing I mentioned here, that Bernie, of all the candidates, has more contributions from active duty service members than any of the other candidates. And the looks on people's faces, because I could see them, because they were like, what? But you see, they don't want the public to hear that. And that I alluded to. We stopped by this bar in Manchester last night, and the pundit class was there, the official pundit class.
Was Chris Matthews there? Because last night he was having trouble. He suggested Bernie might, there might be assassinations in Central Park. I don't know if you saw that.
I'll say this as a fellow Irish Catholic about Chris. We are known to have a great sense of humor.
Okay.
And it's either, I learned at an early age, it's either I should develop a good sense of humor or become a really good drinker. and I know you can do both, but I'd rather encourage people to go with a sense of humor. So,
what are your thoughts on what happened with the DNC? Because I spoke with Nina Turner last night, basically said whether incompetence or not, it seemed to be intentional, what they did in Iowa. You have Bernie was about to be declared the winner. Tom Perez comes out calling for recanvassing.
Minutes before Bernie was going to have that press conference and explain why he won Iowa. And they did that to sandbag him. I ran into Tom Perez last night after the debate, and his people tried to block me from like reaching into him, which I did. You know, don't block me for Christ's sake. You know, I said, Tom, you and I need to talk. And, yeah. No. We need to talk. I'm coming to D.C. and we're going to talk because you can't. You know, they took him away. You can't. The DNC can't screw this up. They have a moral responsibility to make sure that we remove Trump. And I am starting to detect from some of these DNC types that it's actually more important that they save their old corrupt system full of hacks. That's more important to them than getting rid of Trump. Anybody who puts anything ahead of when Hillary says that she doesn't know if she can endorse the candidate, meaning Bernie, then you've just told me something about yourself, and it's pretty rotten and pretty scary. That it would actually be better to have Trump than Bernie. That's exactly what she said. She didn't say it in those words, but that's what Biden said when he said he didn't know if he could commit to endorsing Bernie, and on and on and on. And that's why another whole segment of the Democratic Party hack establishment is backing Bloomberg. He's now their great white hope because Biden isn't doing so well. They thought Pete maybe could be, but I don't think that's going to go very well. Who knows?
The Bernie supporters watching at home very anxious because it looks like what they're doing now makes 2016 look like child's play.
You should be anxious. You should be very worried. They've got more money than us. They hold the power. Here's the power we hold. We've got more people. There are more people that believe in the things that we believe in than what they believe in. A lot more. By tens of millions more. So, what do we do with that? How do we organize that? Because it will not happen just with people sitting at home watching this or looking at your device or listening to this on the way to work or whatever. It is time to make a stand and make it now. Do not plan on making the stand in the summer. It has to be made right now in February. We have to go full tilt against what the DNC is doing about this. That Iowa vote, I mean, I cannot believe. Back to back, I was there in Des Moines. On Sunday, the Des Moines Register is prohibited from releasing their poll, their vaunted, the big poll.
Gold standard.
Gold standard. And because Pete Buttigieg says that one of his followers got a phone call from the pollster and didn't mention Pete's name, all of a sudden they throw the whole poll out. Of course, it leaks, and then we learn that Bernie came in number one in the poll. Not
him in a distant third.
At a distant third, and they didn't want that out, and they killed the poll on Sunday, and they killed the caucus on Monday. And part of the killing of the caucus was just plain stupid incompetence. You know, we've had a joke the last few days that whenever we see somebody like just total incompetence, there's a piece of the Iowa Democratic Party everywhere, it seems. And but beyond that, beyond the incompetence, we have to get to the bottom of why in those precincts that were Bernie precincts, where there's all this miscalculation that the Times pointed out, we have to get to the Bernie and the others. They've got to move on. They got New Hampshire, and then they've got South Carolina and Nevada. We don't have to move on. This show, you guys, me, others, we have to make sure that we have the exact count in Iowa. Because my guess is that Bernie is not only going to be ahead in the popular vote, which all the candidates agree that Bernie won by the number of votes, but also ahead in the delegates. So we can't let this go. We can't let it happen anywhere else. There are things taking place right now, and look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't live my life and but please trust. We've lived long enough now. We've been around this block once before, twice before, depending on how old you are, 10 times before. They are not going to stop. They are not going to give up on trying to stop Bernie. And whether it's the Bloomberg angle to do it, whether it's fiddling with the vote, and you've got all these people from the Hillary campaign that gave us that app, the COO, the CEO, the CTO of Shadow, great name, and its parent acronym. They're all people from the Hillary 2016 campaign.
CEO of Acronym is married to a Pete Buttigieg staffer.
Yeah, just a staffer. He's a key senior political
strategist
for the campaign. And who was the number one client of Shadow? The Pete Buttigieg campaign, $42,000 that they gave this company. Look, it may mean nothing. It may mean everything. But to ignore it and to not, boy, if you ever found out something like that about me, I hope you guys would tear me a new one, because that can't just lay there. We have to find out what was going on here. And for Pete Buttigieg to be involved 2 days in a row with the trashing of the Des Moines Register poll, so that we're not supposed to know what the poll really said, and then people from the Hillary campaign, one of whom, as you said, is married to one of the key Buttigieg people, and the Buttigieg financial arrangement with the app company. We have the right to ask questions, and I'll tell you, people right now are, no, don't attack the Democrats, don't attack the Democratic Party. My friends, if we do not speak up now, yeah, I agree. The time to not attack them is on November 1st, 2 days before the election. I agree with that, because we have to get rid of Trump. But now's the time, because if we don't take care of this now, if we don't make this an honest election now, we'll never have a chance to change the things that we need to change, and we'll just feed right into Trump's hand so he can say, look at these Democrats. They can't organize their way out of a paper bag, and they are about rigging elections.
Last question. I've reported in Flint since 2016, going on 15 times. Obviously, you are a hero there. It doesn't get mentioned in the media much. Obviously, not much on the campaign trail. We're going on 6 years now. Rick Snyder's administration claimed the water was better, but I've been there. There's still problems. The people in Flint are still shell-shocked. I've seen people still with rashes as recently as last year. Babies forgetting the alphabet. Children forgetting letters in the alphabet. You go down the list. It really is still a crisis, and it doesn't get that attention. Why would Bernie Sanders be the right president to make places like Flint, that have gone through this privatization turned crisis, to really help the people of Flint?
Bernie, and of course I'm not authorized to speak for him, but I will. Bernie, as president, immediately is going to involve himself with the Flint water problem. They call it a water crisis, but the truth is that the political decisions were made that poisoned the people, and then they were covered up. And I believe Bernie will do what I asked President Obama to do. Please send in the Army Corps of Engineers, dig up all the poison pipes, not just the main lines down the street, but all the lines into people's homes, and all the internal plumbing in people's homes has all been ruined by the lead poisoning. All of that has to be fixed. This isn't rocket science. This isn't like, tell me the cure for lung cancer. This is like, can you send the Army Corps of Engineers in, dig up the pipes and replace them with brand new pipes, modern pipes, where the people won't be poisoned? It'll take a little less than a year. It's a project, but it can be done, and should have started 4 years ago. So I'm going to count on Bernie doing that.
And how about expanded Medicare for all for them first? A lot of these people are the thousands and thousands of dollars in medical bills.
Medicare for all, actually, they should sign the bill in Flint. It should start with the poisoned people of Flint. And I like to say, too, if we ever need a draft, if we truly are in need of a draft, the first ones drafted should be the sons and daughters of the members of Congress and of the CEOs of corporate America. They go first, so that we never go into another war again. We should never be in a war unless you and I are in serious attack. That's the only reason to ever use our military, to defend the lives of the people here. Other than that, they want to start a war, send their own kids first. So,
thank you so much, Michael. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And I I'm very actually very hopeful, even after this rough week. I know that's amazing to be able to say that, but after we saw what Trump did this week, what the Senate did with Trump,
That State of the Union that looked like it was out of a horror movie.
that was so. I swear to God, that State of the Union message, which Nancy Pelosi appropriately called, it wasn't the State of the Union; it was the state of his mind. That's what we heard for a couple of hours. The state of Trump's mind. That tape of that performance by him will be the new Reefer Madness movie of the next decade. Is that too old of a reference? It's basically what you will watch as you get high. So there you go.
Well, I think Medal of Honor on you rather than Rush Limbaugh would be in order. I admire your work quite a bit.
Thank you very much. I am an Eagle Scout. That was good enough. I'm set with medals. So all right.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care. Thanks, Bezel. Thanks, guys. All right, I think we're getting kicked out of here. So before I go, let me remind you. Before I go, I'll be in touch with you. Thanks, Bezel. Thanks. Let me remind you. I honestly, because I am all over the place, I don't even know what's coming up tonight. I think there's a New Hampshire state dinner we're going to go to. It's got a lot of establishment types, so I'm sure we'll have a little fun. We do need to charge our camera, charge our live view, eat. But please, 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 if you haven't signed up yet, consider signing up right now. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up as a member for as low as $5 a month. This is how we fund this reporting. We would like to be able to go to South Carolina. We would like to be able to go for Super Tuesday. Can't go to 12 states, but maybe one or two. Super Tuesdays after South Carolina. Depending on how it goes here, maybe even go to Nevada. But all of this costs a lot of money. I mean, it costs a lot of money. So if you are willing to put, whether we have different plans, the lowest is $5 a month. We also have $10 a month, $20 a month. Or if you don't want to do it per month, you could just sign up at $179 annually. You also get great bonus content, behind the scenes footage. We don't have the budget of CNN, but we have something they do not, actual will to tell the truth. We're not funded by multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerates. We're not funded by the banks. We're not funded by the fossil fuckers. We're not funded by big real estate, big pharma, Silicon Valley, or any of the usual suspects. We are funded by you. And it's starting to show, because you are the reason we've been able to be out in Iowa, to be able to be here. I've been to Flint so many times. I think since 2016, 15. You're the reason we went to South Bend and exposed a lot of the things the corporate media have kept quiet about Pete Buttigieg. And we'd like to do a lot more. So sign up. Statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5. I know we got to go. Also, as important as being a member is, it's not worth it if you don't know when we're live. So you gotta sign up for our text alert list. Text COUP to 474747. That's text COUP to 474747. We send out a text for most live streams when we're in the field. YouTube likes to notify you occasionally the next year. They'll notify you the next calendar year when we go live. So if you sign up for our text list, you'll get a text when we're live. You could also sign up for our email list by going to statuscoup.com, enter your email there. If you're already on our email list, you got one more step. Go to your spam folder. Make sure our emails are not going to your spam, because a lot of emails, for whatever reason, maybe it's a conspiracy there too, are going to spam. So we need you to mark it not as spam, so it could go to your regular email box. Follow us everywhere at Status Coup on the Twitter. On Instagram, we're instagram.com/statuscoup. Thank you. And give it up for the folks. You don't see these folks, but these are the folks that, they set up these events and they close down these events. These are the folks that make the media revolution, not the media revolution, but the Bernie revolution happen behind the scenes. So thank you for tuning in. We will be, I don't know if we'll be live later. I think we will. We're going to try to go live from this swanky establishment dinner. I see the memberships flying in. So thank you. Let me take a question or comment until they really kick me out. Status Coup sprinting to 1,500. Yes, our goal is to hit 1,500 members by the time New Hampshire primary is over. Jen, shoot me a text message. Tell me what we're at now. I've seen we've gotten a couple more since I've been live. So our goal is 1,500 members by the time we hit the New Hampshire primary, or when it's over, the New Hampshire primary. I think we're at right now, I don't know, I don't want to say because I see more members coming in, but that's our goal. I think if we get to 1,500, we'll be in really, really good shape to go to South Carolina, to go to Super Tuesday. Well, I should stop at South Carolina. I think we'll be in good shape to go to South Carolina. From there, we got to keep growing, but I think we'll be in good shape to go cover the South Carolina primary. I think we'll be in good shape to go cover the Nevada primary, Nevada caucus, which I think we're going to have to cover the caucus, because if you just saw what happened in Iowa, we need eyes on the ground to make sure no more shenanigans happen. So we're now at 1,158. That's 1,158 status quo members. So we are, if math is, that would be 42 members away, 42 members away from 1,200. So for those of you on the fence, we want to get to 1,200 by the end of today. Sign up, statusquo.com/join. We're also going to turn around some behind-the-scenes videos that we've been shooting. You have no idea what both of us were going through this morning. Multitasking is an understatement. So keep signing up, statusquo.com/join. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll be live a little bit later, so again, get on that text list. And let me read a comment or two before we go. 222. Whoa, live chat's going so quick. When's the dinner at? I think it's at 7. I could be wrong. Need you in Nevada? Just join. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. Nevada last time was messy. Get some rest, Jordan. Drink some green juice for energy. Do they have green juice in New Hampshire? Don't get to 1,200. Get higher. Yeah, goals. You got mini goals and then bigger goals. So can't handle the truth. I can. I'm going to order a pizza. I'd love a pizza. Jordan wants to be physically kicked out. Hopefully they don't. Welcome, Noah just signed up. Yang is Reaganomics. Oh, let me tell you. Cancel your memberships. Let's see if we can get back down to 800. What's with that? That's not nice. Please come to Nevada. Let me tell you something. We want to come to Nevada, but a cross-country flight for 2 people, that's pricey. Plus the rent-a-car, plus the hotel, plus the food. We do need to get a couple more cords for our setup here. And honestly, we do need a better camera, too. God bless Jamal, but we got to spruce up the camera, too. So we got a lot of expenses. It ain't cheap. You're great, Jordan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Will you be in Milwaukee for the convention? I'm already expecting to have to go protest. So here's the deal with the convention. Will I be in Milwaukee? Where else would I be? Will the DNC actually let us in the building? I'm going to guess no. My guess is they will deny us credentials for the convention, but honestly, like in Philadelphia, my guess is most of the action will be outside of the convention hall. Like when I was at the Young Turks in 2016, we'll be in the trenches with the people. So yes, we will be in Milwaukee. I don't know if we'll get credentials to actually be inside, but we will be in Milwaukee, cover the action outside. Takes money. It certainly does. I've already told you I'm going to bankroll you. Mark Anthony, if you want to bankroll us, that would be wonderful. I used to love your music. Is that the Mark Anthony that was married to J-Lo? Yeah. New member here. Welcome. Are you going to be at the dinner? Yes, we're going to the dinner. But after this, we got to go charge our battery because we're running low. Let's go. Love your old content. And by the way, if you haven't watched it yet, after we get off the live stream, go watch our interview with Nina Turner. My Lord, the fire this Nina Turner brings is unbelievable. She wasn't messing around, and neither was Michael Moore. We're going to have to crank this interview out because, they're basically just saying, listen, the DNC, listen, they didn't actually use these words, I am, but they're kind of saying, yeah, the DNC's kind of corrupt. Kind of corrupt. And Michael Moore said, yeah, I would worry. I like that. I like that he's not using rosy little language and making you feel, yeah, Bernie's campaign is prepared and blah, 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 blah. Listen, when you're up against a legalized mafia, I'm not saying they're killing people, but politically they're trying to kill them. The DNC and the Democrats are operating like a mafia would. So when you're up against that, you really gotta be prepared. So thank you for all the super chats that have been coming in. Thank you, all our new members. Just got another one, Jody. I am signing off because I think they're going to kick me out in a minute. God bless them. So statuscoup.com/join. Let's keep those memberships coming in. It's like, I'm a Jew, but it is like Christmas every time I get an alert that we have a new member. Statuscoup.com/join. We will be live a little bit later. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And remember, most people are not lacking compassion in the United Corporations of America. Most people have no idea what is going on all around them. That's why we're in the trenches, to inform you, to educate you, hopefully entertain you a little bit. And we really, really appreciate your support. Hopefully you'll tune in later. Join our text list. Text COUP to 474747. Peace out.